So, hello everybody, and welcome to the Connected Conversations. I'm Martina Mazdrova. I am your host, and the Connected Conversations are here for you to create connection in your life with the person who you've been missing, the piece of information, something maybe that you've heard like 100 times, but today maybe you are ready to receive it, and it can open space in you so that you move forwards in your life in any way, shape, or form it gets to look like for you. And I'm excited today to welcome Françoise Hélène, who is based in London, the UK. She is a poet and she finds inspiration through nature, music, art, human life, spirituality, ancient wisdom, and holistic health research. And I love that she uses poetry for personal growth and kind of connecting with self and following the path as we've kind of named this show about today. So François, welcome to the Connected Conversations.
Thank you so much for having me. It's nice to talk about these kind of things. I think it's definitely something we need to talk more about as well during this time. Let me go back to how I started to write poetry. And I feel like maybe some people might be able to relate a little bit as well. Because poetry has so much to do with emotion, right? It's very powerful. It's a way that you can release your emotion a lot. It's a way that you can clear your mind as well. There's so many messages in poetry as well. And I feel like, there's probably a little poet inside of everyone, really, because even if someone would just write in their journal, a line can come up, and there's so many different forms of poetry as well. And what I really love about poetry is the meaning behind the things. So, people can read a poem and give it their own meaning as well. It doesn't really matter why the poet wrote it and the meaning that I would give to a poem that I've written. It's a very good way for people to explore a lot about themselves and really be conscious about, when they read a poem, well, how do you feel? How does this line making you feel? Can you relate to that? Have you had experiences like this before? So that can bring a sense of clarity as well. That's pretty much how I started writing poetry. It was really unintentional. So I think moving to England, I started writing poetry when I moved to England in December 2018, and just really felt connected to England. And then after a bit of time, I was on my own on this adventure in this new country, and I had to start over. I've done it a few times because I've traveled, I worked in a few different countries and I've traveled a lot. But I was in a space in my life where I had to, find a new job. Didn't know anyone here, so I had to find new people to meet. And I felt just like being surrounded by art, poetry, and music. That's probably, in my subconscious mind, I feel like it's probably inspired me to write poetry. It just kind of began that way for me. I just started writing about how I was feeling. I started to write everywhere. I would just walk to work in the morning. I would write something on my phone. I would be in the tube. I'd write in my journal. I would go sit by Town River, and just every moment I had, it just kind of came out naturally. So it was a really unexpected journey, really, where my life took me. But I don't know. It's probably, it's quite true. The universe really help us out sometimes, because what gave me the confidence to publish my first book is that. So I started writing in December 2018, and I started I love the poetry library. I go there so much. If you haven't gone, have a look when you come to London. But and I started looking about poetry competition, and just randomly I was in Prague on my way flying back to London, and I had spare time to spare, and then I sent the first poems I've ever written to the most random competition, and then a couple of months later my name came up. So they recognized my poetry, and I feel like that was the beginning for me, because as a writer and poet, it can be difficult to share your things, the things that you write, with the world, because even though the poetry that you write is not directly you as a person, I think there's a lot of your soul in poetry still. So it's about getting your work out there, and then you're gonna have, not everyone can love you. That's just like for everyone, like not everyone's going to love you, not everyone's going to dislike you as well. But the more that you show your work to the world, the more that you have, that fear of judgment comes up, for example. So that's something that you need to learn to overcome, and just really focus on the positive, and really, but yeah, so that's how my poetry journey began, just by writing in my journal. And it was just about, my poetry is very emotional, very emotional. So a lot of it is just about how I feel about my first book. In my first book, it was a lot about self-love as well, because that was during that time, that first year that I wrote my poems. I was going through that journey of like really loving who I was. Because I never fitted in with the world, to be honest, like with the majority, really. Like at school, for example, I used to be a really, really shy kid, so that always, just for that reason, I think I just didn't fit in as well. So I think poetry is such a good way. I say poetry because I love writing poetry, and that's where my journey took me. But even just writing in our journal is such a good way to connect with who we are. And there's just so many different ways to do this, whether it's something that you're hopeful for the future, whether it's just something that you want more clarity on as well. And it's good to not, when I write my poetry, I don't overthink, especially my first book. I didn't overthink anything, so it's like really raw. My poems are very raw, and because of the nature of the book, it's all about appreciating our differences, and it's a lot about self-love. In that journey, I wanted to keep these poems really authentic, so I didn't really do any editing. And I mean, I didn't really know much about poetry. Ironically, I just kind of write what was on my heart. So I think when people write in their journal, it's such a good way to really release your emotions and just not overthink anything. Just kind of let your heart and soul write, and then come back to it. Go back, write. Clear your mind, write, and then come back to it and think a bit more about what you've written. But I think that's a really good way to connect with yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. I love everything that you're sharing. And yes, journaling has been such a healing space for me. And I know for the longest, I love that you say that you didn't overthink it, because I remember my beginning of journaling, I was totally in my head, because I heard everyone says like, oh, journal, it's good for you to connect with yourself and to process and to release emotions and all of that. And I sat down and I'm like, and what do I do now? And I was so stuck kind of wanting to get it right. That I was just like, I don't know, what do I write about? And then eventually through like different practices and I find my morning pages, and
Yeah.
It's been when I'm full. I mean, if I don't journal, I just feel I'm full. I'm full of everything and
Yeah.
just love it. In the morning, make myself a cup of coffee and just sit down and just write whatever
Yeah.
comes my way. And what I love that you said that kind of poetry found you and you started to write every word. Kind of what I'm hearing
Yeah.
you to say is that you were really able to create that space. As I
Yeah.
really believe we are guided, as you said, we are guided all the time and
Mhm.
being prompted, right? Is
Yeah.
intuitively, this is good for you. Someone go journal, do music, go to nature, go to this
Yeah.
place, connect
Yeah.
with these people. But sometimes, most of the times, I feel we create so much business in our lives, so there is no space, there is no time space to
Yeah.
actually hear that guidance and then create
Yeah.
space and act on it, which you've created and created your, I mean, your passion or love, kind of what I'm hearing. And
Yeah.
that's beautiful.
Yeah. So yeah, there's so many things I have to say now in response to that. But I think that one of the main thing is that, yeah, like between you and your journal, that's like your personal space as well. And there's honestly no one there to judge you anyway. So you just have to really go for it. And there's no right or wrong when you just
Yeah.
write for yourself, really. It's not right, it's not wrong, it just is, you know. And yeah, my poetry journey is just so yeah, it began like that. And so I kind of had a turn in my life during the pandemic as well. Like I switched, you know, my job, and then I had to so I was also like on a on a work visa. I had like a sponsorship, so I was attached to the job. So now I'm sponsoring myself as well. So I'm, you know, I have more freedom as well. So because of these big changes that happened in my life, I had to work around it as well. And I made it work. And then when I had the time to do what I loved, that's when I realized a lot of things. I realized that I want to do something meaningful as well. So, you know, I started by writing poetry in my journal. So my first book is a lot about the self-love journey, self-acceptance journey. So that was where I was at that time. My second book is is kind of half fiction fiction. It's divided in 3 chapters. You know, the first chapter is the grandma speaking, then grandpa. The third chapter is the granddaughter sharing the lessons that she's learned from her grandparents. So it's a lot about the learned lessons that I've learned, but also the learn lessons I want to teach to other people in this lifetime. So it's a lot about, yeah, learning from other people around us. So it's kind of a different level. You know, my first book was more like quotes. My second book is a bit more poetic. And now I've decided I want to write for charities as well. So, because in my second book, I write a lot as well for like, you know, the connection between human being and nature, and how that connection really help us grow from within. But I also, you know, I wrote poems as well for hopefully inspire people to teach children more about, you know, meditation and mindfulness and self-awareness, self-love as well. So that poem is called the great that was forgotten. And now I want to write to, like, yeah, to try to make change in the world, you know, use it to try to make a difference in the world. So
I
it's
love that.
kind of I'm kind of evolving with that journey as well. So, but yes, I think you're right. We definitely need to create space for the things that we want to be part of and the things that are meaningful for us. And I think sometimes it's just difficult to, you know, I don't know if you've been in this situation before. I think most of us has, but it's so different for everyone, and every one of us. But we're faced with choices in life, and we have to make a choice. And sometimes, we see, it's not really like this, but it's like this option. I'm going to call it option A. On paper, it might look good. And the other one is a bit more risky. You have no idea where it's going to take you, but you're kind of, you just make a choice, right? Like, which way do you want to go? And sometimes it's so scary to go towards the unknown as well. But that's why I think it's just important to kind of choose what's more meaningful to you and create the space in your life, as you said, to move forward in the chosen direction. And then you can make that choice right. It's not right or wrong. It's just, you kind of, once you make a decision, you move with the flow. And
creating the space to follow your path, right?
Exactly.
We constantly get in it. And I know that has been my breakthrough as I started a journey of really discovering who I was actually, and more of remembering of who I actually was, rather than peeling the layers of what I think who I was, who I should be, and all of that. So that part, to actually create a time, and the times, and this is often what I hear around me and clients, is just, I don't have time, which is very interesting topic, because we use different strategies, right, to stay in the survival, what we've learned, to not to go into the uncertainty, because it's a risk and it's scary, right, for our ego, for our subconscious, and all of that. So we've got different strategies, and I know, like, one of my strategies has been busyness and has been distraction, because the more busy I am, the less time I have to reconnect with myself and connect with the feelings, and really preventing myself from feeling the discomfort and the fear and the pain that is sometimes you go into the depth of the root of the patterns and beliefs and stories. But at the same time, it's the most liberating thing. And I feel such a self-loving, you keep bringing self-love, and that's kind of my gem, which I'm going with, really supporting women with loving themselves authentically. So I love you keep bringing that up. And it is like creating that space, just noticing, like, what is the strategy I am running here? I am being busy. Am I just really being busy, or am I just being busy because I'm avoiding something? Because sometimes I would go all day until 11 o'clock. I'm going to journal. And I was so tired, I would just go to sleep. I was like, I'll journal tomorrow. And then I was just suppressing all the emotions. No wonder my neck was hurting and all sorts, which is really invitation for our listeners. Just like, what is your way to avoid, and how you can shift to move through it, to connect with your path, to create that space for what you love. And what's important, right? As you said, that you really connected with, I feel like, sense of purpose in a way, right? Your sense of direction. It's kind of what I'm feeling, experiencing from your share.
No, I think it's interesting that you say, if you're feeling, you say to yourself that you're busy, and then you felt tension in your neck, because like our mind, body, and soul it's all connected. So so if you don't take care of yourself as well, like physically and on the inside as well, because we're human beings. Like, yes, some of us are extroverts, some of us are more introverts, some of us or we're all a bit in the middle. Well, no, some of us, some people are in the middle as well. And but I do think, that's something that we tend to forget as well, just to take the time to really be with ourselves, enjoy our company, or do something that it doesn't really matter, like whatever makes you feel like happy, like that. Like it can be, for me, always writing, that makes me happy, and then I'm learning the piano, and reading, that makes me happy. And some people, they love just chilling, watching TV, doing their nails, I don't know, there's doing art, anything. But I think it's it's important to bring that concept to our consciousness as well, to accept that we need to make time for ourselves, because we are human beings, and at the end of the day, we didn't really come to this world to just keep on being busy all the time.
Yeah,
We need,
like doing.
just to
Just doing, be the doers. Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be for long as well, but yeah, it's definitely something to keep in mind. And yeah, it's just I don't know, some people might need consistency, other people not so much. Like, we all work differently, we all need different things. If I spend like at the weekend, I just spent 3 days, at an event, I was with people, and then like this evening, I'm going to take I just want to be myself like this evening and probably tomorrow night as well. So I really feel like I need that time to be with myself. And about being busy, I think it's also like time is funny, isn't it? Because we have clocks, and obviously, we age, and that's physical, and then we notice our health and all that as well. We notice it in that sense. And time is quite precious as well. But we need to, create. We still need to create. That's why it is so precious. And then that's why, some people sometimes, if they don't take care of themselves, or they work too much, and then they go on a burnout, for example. So it's good to have that balance as well. And then when it comes to being busy, it's just about setting priorities as well. So it's like, if we say to someone, oh, I don't have the time to, like, if someone invites me somewhere and I say, oh, sorry, I don't have the time. Well, not quite. I mean, I have time, I'm still alive. But, if I would switch my answer to, oh, actually, I'm going to prioritize, I don't know, my writing, for example, that's another thing, right? So it's like, it's like a choice. But yes, I think it is so important to really take the time to take care of yourself, because if you don't take care of yourself, that's when you're going to notice it in your body as well, in different ways. Might be neck tension, might be headaches or anything like that. And then it's going to be, everything else is going to become harder as well, right? That's kind of the foundation, really. Like, if you're good with yourself, then you can work better in other aspects of life. So
Totally. No, I love that. And it tends to be, right, I feel, as you say, it's beautiful what you said about the priorities, that, well, actually I can rephrase it, because it's been really fun playing with language, right? Because really our words is our creation, right? What I speak is what I create. And that's been so powerful. And I know, like, it was quite at the beginning of my personal development journey. One of my coaches said, like, just don't say I can. It's like, well, I can't do it. Like, something. I was in this very scarcity mindset. I can't do it kind of thing. It's like, no, you could. If you wanted, like, you could, right? And then suddenly, anytime I caught myself, I can. And I'm like, no, I could do it. Like, I could do it, but maybe I don't want to, right? I could do it, but something else is more important at the moment to where I am. But just literally removing can't and swapping it with could has been such a, like, awareness change, how much we actually use can. And I'm so wary of words and what people speak. And I'm like, whoa, you could do it actually, but it's just choose differently, and that's okay, right? But it's just, words are our creation tools, right?
No, it's true. Like, it's like signal that you send to the universe as well, like every time you speak something out. And it's just so if you say I can, that's gonna raise your sense of belief in yourself, because it's like, that's the message that you send to your brain. So it's gonna,
it's so powerful.
yeah.
Francoise, I would love if you would just tell us more about your books. Where for us listeners who resonate with you and they would just love to stay in relationship with you and learn from you and get your books, what is the
Yeah.
best way to do it, where they can get them, and how
Yeah.
does this all work?
Yeah, definitely. So I have a website, so you can have a look through my website. It's just
You're
so
gonna
my
drop the link in the comments
okay,
for
I'll
your
drop the
website, so
link.
it's just gonna be easier.
Yeah, so I'll drop the link there. And I have an Instagram, so if anyone wants to follow me on that, it's just at Françoise Hélène Poetry. I'll drop the link as well. Yeah, and if just get in touch. I'm really open. I love connecting with people as well. So and I'm working on creating more videos for my poetry as well.
I love
So
that.
it'll be there I have a couple of videos, but yeah, I'm working on doing some more of that. So
That's
it'll
exciting.
be there.
So Julian, so we reaching the end. So is there anything that we haven't talked about in terms of the theme of following your path, or is there any message that you would love our listeners to leave with?
No, I would just really say, take the time to calm your mind, really, and connect to your intuition as well. I don't know, like personally for me, because I'm so like kind of strong on feelings and connecting to my intuition, I would, I would just say, really follow your gut feeling. And I do kind of believe if you follow your heart and you really connect to your soul, and listen to that, it will lead you somewhere good. So that's what, just really try to listen, speak from the heart, listen to your heart, learn from your heart, just connect with your soul as well, and choose, the path that's more meaningful to you, even if you don't always know where you're going to end up. So, yeah.
Just trusting the process, right? As you choose the unknown, just
Yeah.
trusting like your heart is leading you exactly where you get to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you, thank you, thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you for having me. It's been nice chatting to you. So,
Same here. Same here. Thank you. And let's connect soon.
cool. All right. Bye.